What's up, guys? This is Kaz with Elevate Your Craft, the podcast, and welcome to episode number 9. Two topics I'll be discussing today, the first being how repetitions affect a workout, and the second is the almighty pull-up. So jumping right into the first topic, how repetitions can affect a workout. When putting a routine together, it's very important to understand how you're going to structure your repetitions and how that pertains to your goals. Do you want to build raw power? Do you want to improve your endurance? Do you want to maximize muscular strength and growth? Are you training for a particular sport? And understanding how repetitions can pertain to achieving your goals will allow you to tailor your workout to what you want to get out of it. Now, of course, there are many factors that come together to make a great routine, but this will shed some light on one of these factors. On the lower end of the spectrum, between 1 and 4 reps, you'll get more focus on building raw power. And you'll usually see this a lot with heavier, more compound exercises like deadlifts or clean and press, anything that is common among power lifters. They'll usually hover around this area because their goal, of course, is power. You'll often see longer periods of recovery between sets because the goal is not to completely exhaust the muscles during training. And just a note on the 1 rep max. As you approach 1 rep, it correlates with your 1 rep maximum, or 100% of the weight that you can move. Knowing your 1 rep max can be useful for understanding where you're at and setting a bar that you can overcome with time and training. So as you move up the scale at, say, 5 to 12 reps, this is a range that's ideal for muscular strength and growth. Within this range, you're looking at anywhere from 70 to 80% of your 1 rep maximum. And this is where bodybuilders would tend to focus because their goals, of course, require maximum growth and symmetry. And because you're recruiting a lower percentage of your 1 rep max, it allows you to perform a higher amount of repetitions and exhaust your muscles. So because you're looking to exhaust the muscles, this method of training will require more recovery time between sessions so the muscles can repair and grow. Finally, on the higher end of the scale, at really anything beyond 12 reps, muscular endurance will improve. So this is generally anything below 70% of your 1 rep maximum, and this allows an even higher amount of repetitions to be achieved. And because of that reduced intensity, less recovery is usually needed between workouts. And this can be useful for endurance sports like cycling, or even just making it easier to perform everyday tasks. And this is why it's also great for beginners. It's a really good idea to focus on endurance at the beginning because it eases the body into training. You can practice proper technique, and you can really build confidence in knowing how to perform the exercises and slowly just building your overall endurance. The key is understanding your goals and then going from there. From a calisthenics standpoint, you may hear people ask, can I build size using body weight only exercise? And this is a really good way to illustrate what I've discussed so far, and the answer is absolutely. What you need to keep in mind is you have to set up your training in a way that promotes muscular growth. Ensuring that you're working to exhaust your muscles, allowing sufficient recovery time between workouts, using simpler, more compound exercises that will allow you to achieve a higher amount of reps, and of course related to today's topic, ensuring that the amount of reps is in the range for muscular growth. I think the misconception might partly come from majority of people using calisthenics-based exercises. A good example is the push-up, and they don't progress the push-up at all. They just stick with regular push-ups, and in the end can maybe do 40 or 50 repetitions. However, they're more training the endurance side of the push-up, which, of course, they won't see. They'll, of course, see some growth in their training. However, if growth and strength is their goal, they're better off progressing the different push-up exercise and then sticking in that range of 5 to 12 in order to further grow their muscles. One thing I wanted to mention as well, there's a great book based entirely around this concept, and that is called CMASS, C-MASS, by Paul Wade or Paul Coach Wade. And I really encourage you to check it out if you want to learn more about building size using calisthenics-only training. One final thing that I want to emphasize, and I'll definitely emphasize this in many of my podcasts, is that nothing is certain. Things like what I've discussed above are guidelines, and everyone is different. I mean, one of my favorite aspects of training is the experimental side of it and figuring out what works for you, how your body works, how it responds to exercise. But most important is, of course, designing a safe and effective routine that you love to do. And guidelines, like I previously mentioned, the many great resources and books out there, and even a great trainer can certainly help you get there. Moving on to the second topic, the almighty pull-up. Now, the pull-up has always been a great measure of overall strength and can humble even the best of us with its difficulty. It's still one of the exercises that I find most difficult to progress, however, extremely rewarding when I do. I think it's often avoided by people, especially beginners, because it is so difficult. And I think people can greatly benefit by understanding how to approach their first pull-up in a progressive way. That's understanding what to do in order to regress an exercise or progress a pull-up variation. And I'll also get into the different grips that are available and how they can be used. First, I just wanted to talk a bit about how my approach was at the beginning and any insight that I've learned over the years that I've been training pull-ups. When I first truly began training pull-ups consistently, I had no idea how to approach them. But over time, of course, I was able to make great progress. So it's not to say that you can't get anywhere by taking a less structured approach. No, I mean, get out there and do them any way you can. That's definitely the first step, is just doing them. However, I think approaching them in a progressive way can help build confidence and really ensure that you're getting the most out of every workout. So just getting back to when I began training the pull-up, I found I was just doing my max number of reps per set and then doing as many sets as I could. So I usually kept the number of sets between 8 and 10, and nearing the final sets, I was doing maybe 1 or 2 reps max. And I mean, I can even go earlier than the final sets. I'd probably say it started at about the 4th or 5th set where I was really only doing 1 or 2 reps max. And I started with the underhand pull-up or the chin-up where the palms are facing you. And this is common for new practitioners because it allows you to involve the biceps to a greater degree, and this helps compensate for a weaker torso. And as I gained strength, I began including hammer grip pull-ups. So this is where the palms are facing each other. And then, of course, the standard pull-up grip, which is palms facing away. So I slowly started incorporating those two. So, for example, if I was doing, say, 8 sets initially of the underhand or the chin-up, then I would start to include, 1 set of hammer grips and then 1 set of the standard pull-up, and so on. And as I got stronger, I would incorporate more and more of each grip. And my overall goal was to be able to do a full, say 8 sets of as many reps as possible of the standard pull-up. And this can really be changed to adapt to anyone. I mean, 8 sets is a number that I just started with. And keep in mind, when you're only doing 1 rep, that may sound a little high, but again, when you're only doing 1 rep, you can hit 8 sets fairly easily. But I mean, if you're only doing 3 sets or 2 sets or 5 sets, it's really just getting out there, giving it your all, and getting in as many as you can. The allowing for more sets, I found it just gave me enough recovery time that I was able to achieve more, even if I was only doing 1 pull-up. And that's kind of how it started for me. I mean, even to this day, I tend to stay in the 5 to 12 rep range for pull-ups. That's kind of just where I like to be. But as I do more advanced variations of the pull-up, whether it's archer pull-ups or typewriter pull-ups or uneven, I do really as many reps as I can, and that is similar to when I started doing the standard ones. If I can only do 1 or 2 reps, I only do 1 or 2, and then as I get stronger and stronger, I can do 1 or 2 more, and it really goes from there. And the reason I wanted to give you an idea of how it worked for me is to emphasize that mine is one of many different pathways to pull up strength. It'll likely be very different for you, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. You may have different goals. Progress can take a bit longer or a bit shorter than it did for me. Doing what you can is better than not doing them at all. And try not to avoid them because they're too difficult, or because you can only do 1 or 2 reps and you can do 20 of something else. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the section, pull-ups can be very humbling. But when you see progress, even in the smallest ways, it's extremely rewarding. And this small progress segues nicely into what I wish that I knew way back when I started, is that pull-ups can be approached in a structured and progressive way, which can make the process much less daunting. I wrote an article that's on the website, www.elevateyourcraft.net, that I really encourage you to check out, and it's about using the inverted row to help build the necessary strength for your first pull-up. So the inverted row is where you're under the bar and you're pulling yourself up toward the bar. It's similar to a row. You may also hear it called the Australian pull-up because you're going down under the bar. And it's a great way to accustom yourself with a pulling motion, building strength in the back, the biceps, and the shoulders. I still use the inverted row in my routines today, and many of the grips and variations used in standard pull-ups can be simulated using the inverted row. So you get that whole progressive variety with the inverted rows as well. And just a quick note, if you do go to a gym and it has a Smith machine, that's a great way to train the inverted row because the height of the bar can be changed, which allows you to just change the difficulty of the exercise, but it also provides a stable bar to hang from. And in the photos on the website, in the article, I'm using parallel bars, portable parallel bars, and those are also another great option. One thing that I want to emphasize here, which I also mention in the article, is that inverted rows are not meant as a substitute for pull-ups. They are a horizontally oriented pull, whereas pull-ups are vertical. However, they can still develop the necessary strength to achieve your first pull-up. So they're invaluable in really any routine. Even if you can do, say, 20 perfect technique pull-ups, you'll still benefit by incorporating the inverted row in your routine. You can definitely approach pull-ups in a progressive way using vertically oriented movements. And that's something I'll be getting into a future podcast, and I'll also be writing an article related to it. So definitely stay tuned. The overall message I wanted to get across today is don't be so intimidated by the pull-up that you avoid it. And I was certainly there for a little while. It was too difficult. And then I was training at a gym too, and you kind of think, how's it going to look if I go up there and I can only do 1 rep or not even a half a rep? I'm just going to go do, lat pull downs or something that I can manage a little easier. And, there's certainly nothing wrong with lat pull downs, but I think you'd be missing out a lot if you completely avoid pull-ups. And while the haphazard way I approached them initially might not have been ideal, I'm glad that I just went out there and did them anyway and made an effort over time to learn how to approach them with more understanding and in a progressive way. And I've definitely benefited greatly from it to this day. So That's it for the podcast. You can follow it at www.elevateyourcraft.net. Follow me on Twitter at EYC Kaz. That's EYCKAS. It's the same handle on Instagram. There's also the Facebook page, which is Elevate Your Craft, all one word. And I'll definitely update the Facebook page with any of the podcasts that I do, as well as any photos or just quick tips that I'll be incorporating as time goes on. Okay, thanks very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and I'll talk to you again soon.